Act 1 of The Strange Gentleman by Charles Dickens. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Cast of Characters.
Mr. Owen Overton, read by Noel Badrian.
John Johnson, read by Nathaniel W.C. Higgins.
The Strange Gentleman, read by David Goldfarb.
Charles Tompkins, read by Algie Pugg.
Tom Sparks, read by John Trevithick.
The Waiters, John, Tom, and Will, read by Todd.
Julia Dobbs, read by Tiffany Halla Colonna.
Fanny Wilson, read by Amanda Friday.
Mary Wilson, read by Dwan.
Mrs. Noakes, read by Christine Nenza.
Chambermaid, read by Eden Ray Hedrick.
Narrator, read by Christine G. Costumes. Mr. Owen Overton. Black smalls and high black boots. A blue bodycoat, rather long in the waist, with yellow buttons, buttoned close up to the chin. A white stock, ditto gloves. A broad-brimmed, low-crowned white hat. Strange Gentleman. A light blue, plaid French-cut trousers and vest. A brown cloth frock coat, with full skirts scarcely covering the hips. A light blue kerchief. An eccentric low-crowned, broad-brimmed white hat. Boots. John Johnson. White fashionable trousers, boots, light vest, frock coat, black hat, gloves. Charles Tompkins. Shepherd's plaid French-cut trousers, boots, mohair fashionable frock coat, buttoned up, black hat, gloves. Tom Sparks. Leather smalls, striped stockings and lace-up half boots, and a holland stable jacket, coloured kerchief and red wig. The Waiters, all in black trousers, black stockings and shoes, white vests, striped jackets, and white kerchiefs. Mary Wilson. Fashionable walking dress, white silk stockings, shoes and gloves. Fanny Wilson. Precisely the same as Mary. Julia Dobbs. A handsome white travelling dress, cashmere shawl, white silk stockings, shoes and gloves. A bonnet to correspond. Mrs. Noakes. A chintz gown, rather of dark pattern, French apron, and a handsome cap. Scene: a small town on the road to Gretna. Time: part of a day and night. Time in acting: 1 hour and 20 minutes. Act 1, Scene 1. A room at the St. James Arms. Door in centre, with a bolt on it. A table with cover and 2 chairs. Right-hand side. Enter Mrs. Noakes, centre door.
Bless us! What a coachful! 4 inside, 12 out, and the guard blowing the key bugle in the foreboot for fear the informer should see that they have got 1 over the number. Post-chaise and a gig besides. We shall be filled to the very attics. Now look alive there, bustle about.
Enter first waiter, running, centre door.
Now, John.
Coming down left-hand side.
Single lady, inside the stage. Wants a private room, ma'am.
Much luggage?
4 trunks, 2 bonnet boxes, 6 brown paper parcels, and a basket.
Give her the private room directly. Number 1 on the first floor.
Yes, ma'am.
Exit first waiter, running, centre door. Enter second waiter, running, centre door.
Now, Tom.
Coming down right-hand side.
2 young ladies and 1 gentleman in a post-chaise. Want a private sitting room directly, ma'am.
Brother and sisters, Tom?
Ladies are something alike, ma'am. Gentlemen like neither of 'em.
Husband and wife's sister, perhaps, eh, Tom?
Can't be husband and wife, ma'am, because I saw the gentleman kiss one of the ladies.
Kissing one of the ladies? Put them in the small sitting-room behind the bar, Tom, that I may have an eye on them through the little window, and see that nothing improper goes forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Going.
And Tom.
Crossing to left-hand side.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming down right-hand side.
Tell cook to put all the bones and pieces that were left on the plates at the great dinner yesterday, and make some nice soup to feed the stagecoach passengers with.
Very well, ma'am.
Exit second waiter, centre door. Enter third waiter, running, centre door.
Now, Will.
Coming down left-hand side.
A strange gentleman in a gig, ma'am, wants a private sitting room.
Much luggage, Will?
1 portmanteau and a greatcoat.
Oh, nonsense. Tell him to go into the commercial room.
I told him so, ma'am, but the strange gentleman says he will have a private apartment, and that it's as much as his life is worth to sit in a public room.
As much as his life is worth?
Yes, ma'am. Gentleman says he doesn't care if it's a dark closet, but a private room of some kind he must and will have.
Very odd. Did you ever see him before, Will?
No, ma'am. He's quite a stranger here. He's a wonderful man to talk, ma'am. Keeps on like a steam engine. Here he is, ma'am.
Without.
Now don't tell me, because that's all gammon and nonsense, and gammoned I never was and never will be by any waiter that ever drew the breath of life or a cork. And just have the goodness to leave my portmanteau alone, because I can carry it very well myself, and show me a private room without further delay, for a private room I must and will have. Damn me, do you think I'm going to be murdered?
Enter the 3 waiters, centre door. They form down left-hand side, the strange gentleman following, carrying his portmanteau and greatcoat.
There. This room will do capitally well. Quite the thing. Just the fit. How are you, ma'am? I suppose you are the landlady of this place. Just order those very attentive young fellows out, will you, and I'll order dinner.
2 waiters.
You may leave the room.
Hear that? You may leave the room. Make yourselves scarce. Evaporate. Disappear. Come.
Exit waiters, centre door.
That's right. And now, madam, while we're talking over this important matter of dinner, I'll just secure us effectually against further intrusion.
Bolts the door.
Law, sir! Bolting the door, and me in the room!
Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. I have no designs against you, my dear ma'am, but I must be private.
Sits on the portmanteau, right-hand side.
Well, sir, I have no objection to break through our rules for once, but it is not our way. When we're full, to give private rooms to solitary gentlemen who come in a gig and bring only 1 portmanteau. You're quite a stranger here, sir. If I'm not mistaken, it's your first appearance in this house.
You're right, ma'am. It is my first, my very first, but not my last, I can tell you.
No?
No.
Looking round him.
I like the look of this place. Snug and comfortable, neat and lively. You'll very often find me at the St. James's Arms, I can tell you, ma'am.
Aside.
A civil gentleman. Are you a stranger in this town, sir?
Stranger? Bless you, no. I have been here for many years past in the season.
Indeed?
Oh, yes. Put up at the Royal Hotel regularly for a long time, but I was obliged to leave it at last.
I have heard a good many complaints of it.
Oh, terrible. Such a noisy house.
Ah.
Shocking! Din, 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 drum, 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 all night. Nothing but noise, glare, and nonsense. I bore it a long time for old acquaintance' sake, but what do you think they did at last, ma'am?
I can't guess.
Turned the fine old assembly room into a stable, and took to keeping horses. I tried that too, but I found I couldn't stand it, so I came away, ma'am, and here I am.
Rises.
And I'll be bound to say, sir, that you will have no cause to complain of the exchange.
I'm sure not, ma'am. I know it. I feel it already.
About dinner, sir, what would you like to take?
Let me see. Will you be good enough to suggest something, ma'am?
Why, a broiled fowl and mushrooms is a very nice dish.
You are right, ma'am. A broiled fowl and mushrooms form a very delightful and harmless amusement, either for one or two persons. Broiled fowl and mushrooms let it be, ma'am.
In about an hour, I suppose, sir?
For the second time, ma'am, you have anticipated my feelings.
You'll want a bed tonight, I suppose, sir. Perhaps you'd like to see it. Step this way, sir, and—
Going left-hand side.
No, never mind.
Aside.
This is a plot to get me out of the room. She's bribed by somebody who wants to identify me. I must be careful. I'm exposed to nothing but artifice and stratagem. Never mind, ma'am, never mind.
If you'll give me your portmanteau, sir, the boots will carry it into the next room for you.
Aside.
Here's diabolical ingenuity. She thinks it's got the name upon it.
To her.
I'm very much obliged to the Boots for his disinterested attention, ma'am, but with your kind permission, this portmanteau will remain just exactly where it is. Consequently, ma'am, if the aforesaid Boots wishes to succeed in removing this portmanteau, he must previously remove me, ma'am, me, and it will take a pair of very stout boots to do that, ma'am, I promise you.
Dear me, sir, you needn't fear for your portmanteau in this house. I dare say nobody wants it.
I hope not, ma'am, because in that case nobody will be disappointed.
Aside.
How she fixes her old eyes on me.
Aside.
I never saw such an extraordinary person in all my life. What can he be?
Looks at him very hard. Exit Mrs. Noakes' centre door.
She's gone at last. Now let me commune with my own dreadful thoughts, and reflect on the best means of escaping from my horrible position.
Takes a letter from his pocket.
Here's an illegal death warrant, a pressing invitation to be slaughtered, a polite request just to step out and be killed, thrust into my hand by some disguised assassin in a dirty black calico jacket, the very instant I got out of the gig at the door. Oh, I know the hand. There's a ferocious recklessness in the cross to this T, and a baleful malignity in the dot of that I, which warns me that it comes from my desperate rival.
Opens it and reads.
Mr. Horatio Tinkles, that's him, presents his compliments to his enemy, that's me, and requests the pleasure of his company tomorrow morning under the clump of trees on Corpse Common, to which any of the townspeople will direct him, and where he hopes to have the satisfaction of giving him his gruel. Giving him his gruel! Ironical cut-throat! His punctuality will be esteemed a personal favour, as it will save Mr. Tinkles the trouble and inconvenience of calling with a horsewhip in his pocket. Mr. Tinkles has ordered breakfast at the Royale for one. It is paid for. The individual who returns alive can eat it. Pistols, 5:30 precisely. Bloodthirsty miscreant! The individual who returns alive. I have seen him hit the painted man at the shooting gallery regularly every time in his centre shirt-plate, except when he varied the entertainments by lodging the ball playfully in his left eye. Breakfast. I shall want nothing beyond the gruel. What's to be done? Escape. I can't escape. Concealment's of no use. He knows I am here. He has dodged me all the way from London, and will dodge me all the way to the residence of Miss Emily Brown, whom my respected but swine-headed parents have picked out for my future wife. A pretty figure I should cut before the old people, whom I have never beheld more than once in my life, and Miss Emily Brown, whom I have never seen at all, if I went down there pursued by this salamander, who I suppose is her accepted lover. What is to be done? I can't go back again. Father would be furious. What can be done? Nothing.
Sinks into a chair.
I must undergo this fiery ordeal, and submit to be packed up and carried back to my weeping parents like an unfortunate buck, with a flat piece of lead in my head, and a brief epitaph on my breast, killed on Wednesday morning. No, I won't.
Starting up and walking about.
I won't submit to it. I'll accept the challenge, but first I'll write an anonymous letter to the local authorities, giving them information of this intended duel, and desiring them to place me under immediate restraint. Well, that's feasible. On further consideration, it's capital. My character will be saved. I shall be bound over. He'll be bound over. I shall resume my journey, reach the house, marry the girl, pocket the fortune, and laugh at him. No time to be lost. It shall be done forthwith.
Goes to table and writes.
There, the challenge accepted with a bold defiance. That'll look very brave when it comes to be printed. Now for the other.
Writes.
To the Mayor. Sir, a strange gentleman at the St. James's Arms, whose name is unknown to the writer of this communication, is bent upon committing a rash and sanguinary act at an early hour tomorrow morning. As you value human life, secure the amiable youth without delay. Think, I implore you, sir, think what would be the feelings of those to whom he is nearest and dearest if any mischance befall the interesting young man. Do not neglect this solemn warning. The number of his room is 17. There.
Folding it up.
Now, if I can find anyone who will deliver it secretly.
Tom Sparks, with a pair of boots in his hand, peeps in at the centre door.
Are these here urine?
No.
Oh.
Going back.
Hello. Stop. Are you the boots?
Still at the door.
I'm the head of that branch of the establishment. There's another man under me as brushes the dirt off and puts the blacking on. The fancy work's my department. I do the polishing, nothing else.
You are the upper boots, then?
Yes, I'm the regular. T'other one's only the deputy. Top boots and half boots, I calls us.
You're a sharp fellow.
Ah, I'd better cut then.
Going.
Don't hurry, Boots. Don't hurry. I want you.
Rises and comes forward, right-hand side. Coming forward, left-hand side.
Well?
Can you be secret, Boots?
What depends entirely on accompanying circumstances. See the point?
I think I comprehend your meaning, Boots. You insinuate that you could be secret.
Putting his hand in his pocket.
If you had 5 shillings, for instance. Isn't that it, Boots?
That's the line of argument I should take up, but that ain't exactly my meaning.
No?
No, a secret's a thing as is always a-rising to one's lips. It requires an astonishing weight to keep one on 'em down.
Ah.
Yes, I don't think I could keep one snug. Reg'lar snug, you know.
Yes, regularly snug, of course.
If it had a less weight atop on it than 10 shilling.
You don't think 3 half-crowns would do it?
It might. I won't say it wouldn't, but I couldn't warrant it.
You could, the other?
Yes.
Then there it is.
Gives him 4 half-crowns.
You see these letters?
Yes, I can manage that without my spectacles.
Well, that's to be left at the Royal Hotel. This is an anonymous one, and I want it to be delivered at the mayor's house without his knowing from whom it came or seeing who delivered it.
Taking the letters.
I say, you're a rum un, you are.
Think so? So are you.
I bet you're a rummer one than me.
No, that's your modesty.
No, it ain't. I say, how well you did them last haystacks. How do you contrive that ere now, if it's a fair question? Is it done with a pipe, or do you use them lucifer boxes?
Pipe? Lucifer boxes? Haystacks? What do you mean?
Looking cautiously round.
I know your name, old un.
You know my name?
Aside.
Now how the devil has he got hold of that, I wonder?
Yes, I know it. It begins with a S.
Begins with an S?
And ends with a G.
Winking.
We've all heard talk of swing down here.
Heard talk of swing? Here's a situation. Dammy, do you think I'm a walking carboy of vitriol and burn everything I touch? Will you go upon the errand you're paid for?
Oh, I'm going. It's nothing to me, you know. I don't care. I'll only just give these boots to the deputy to take them to whoever they belong to, and then I'll pitch this here letter in at the mayor's office window in no time.
Will you be off?
Oh, I'm going. Close, you knows. Close.
Exit Tom. Centre door.
In 5 minutes more the letter will be delivered. In another half-hour, if the mayor does his duty, I shall be in custody and secure from the vengeance of this infuriated monster. I wonder whether they'll take me away. Egad, I may as well be provided with a clean shirt and a nightcap, in case. Let's see. She said the next room was my bedroom, and as I have accepted the challenge, I may venture so far now.
Shouldering the portmanteau.
What a capital notion it is. There'll be all the correspondence in large letters in the county paper, and my name figuring away in Roman capitals, with a long story how I was such a desperate dragon and so bent upon fighting that it took 4 constables to carry me to the mayor, and 1 boy to carry my hat. It's a capital plan. Must be done. The only way I have of escaping unpursued from this place, unless I could put myself in the general post and direct myself to a friend in town. Oh, and then it's a chance whether they'd take me in, being so much overweight.
Exit Strange Gentleman with portmanteau, left-hand side. Mrs. Noakes, peeping in centre door, then entering.
This is the room, ladies, but the gentleman has stepped out somewhere. He won't be long, I dare say. Pray, come in, miss.
Enter Mary and Fanny Wilson, centre door. Mary, centre.
This is the strange gentleman's apartment, is it?
Mrs. Noakes, right-hand side.
Yes, miss. Shall I see if I can find him, ladies, and tell him you are here?
No, we should prefer waiting till he returns, if you please.
Very well, ma'am. He'll be back directly, I dare say, for it's very near his dinner time.
Exit Mrs. Noakes, centre door.
Come, Fanny, dear. Don't give way to these feelings of depression. Take pattern by me. I feel the absurdity of our situation acutely, but you see that I keep up, nevertheless.
It is easy for you to do so. Your situation is neither so embarrassing, nor so painful a one as mine.
Well, my dear, it may not be, certainly, but the circumstances which render it less so are, I own, somewhat incomprehensible to me. My hare-brained, madcap swain, John Johnson, implores me to leave my guardian's house and accompany him on an expedition to Gretna Green. I, with immense reluctance, and after considerable pressing,
yield a very willing consent.
Well, we won't quarrel about terms. At all events, I do consent. He bears me off, and when we get exactly halfway, discovers that his money is all gone, and that we must stop at this inn until he can procure a remittance from London by post. I think, my dear, you'll own that this is rather an embarrassing position.
Compare it with mine. Taking advantage of your flight, I send express to my admirer, Charles Tomkins, to say that I have accompanied you. First, because I should have been miserable if left behind with a peevish old man alone. Secondly, because I thought it proper that your sister should accompany you.
And thirdly, because you knew that he would immediately comply with this indirect assent to his entreaties of 3 months' duration, and follow you without delay on the same errand. Hey, my dear?
It by no means follows that such was my intention, or that I knew he would pursue such a course. But supposing he has done so, supposing the strange gentleman should be himself.
Supposing? Why, you know it is. You told him not to disclose his name on any account, and the strange gentleman is not a very common travelling name, I should imagine, besides the hasty note in which he said he should join you here.
Well, granted that it is he. In what a situation am I placed? You tell me for the first time that my violent intended must on no account be beheld by your violent intended, just now, because of some old quarrel between them, of long standing, which has never been adjusted to this day. What an appearance this will have! How am I to explain it, or relate your present situation? I should sink into the earth with shame and confusion.
Leave it to me. It arises from my heedlessness. I will take it all upon myself and see him alone. But tell me, my dear, as you got up this love affair with so much secrecy and expedition during the 4 months you spent at Aunt Martha's, I have never yet seen Mr. Tomkins, you know. Is he so very handsome?
See him, and judge for yourself.
Well, I will. And you may retire till I have paved the way for your appearance. But just assist me first, dear, in making a little noise to attract his attention, if he really be in the next room, or I may wait here all day.
Duet, at the end of which exit Fanny centre door. Mary retires up right-hand side. Enter strange gentleman, left-hand side.
There. Now, with a clean shirt in one pocket and a nightcap in the other, I'm ready to be carried magnanimously to my dungeon in the cause of love.
Aside.
He says he's ready to be carried magnanimously to a dungeon in the cause of love. I thought it was Mr. Tomkins.
Coming down left-hand side. Seeing her.
Hallo, who's this? Not a disguised peace officer in petticoats. Beg your pardon, ma'am.
Advancing towards her.
What? Did you—
Oh, sir, I feel the delicacy of my situation.
Aside.
Feels the delicacy of her situation. Lord bless us, what's the matter? Permit me to offer you a seat, ma'am, if you're in a delicate situation.
He places chairs. They sit.
You are very good, sir. You are surprised to see me here, sir.
No, no. At least, not very. Rather, perhaps. Rather.
Aside.
Never was more astonished in all my life.
Aside.
His politeness, and the extraordinary tale I have to tell him, overpower me. I must summon up courage. Sir.
Ma'am.
You have arrived at this house in pursuit of a young lady, if I mistake not.
You are quite right, ma'am.
Aside.
Mysterious female.
If you are the gentleman I'm in search of, you wrote a hasty note a short time since, stating that you would be found here this afternoon.
Drawing back his chair.
I wrote a note, ma'am.
You need keep nothing secret from me, sir. I know all.
Aside.
That villain Boots has betrayed me. Know all, ma'am.
Everything.
Aside.
Oh, it must be so. She's a constable's wife.
You are the writer of that letter, sir? I think I am not mistaken.
You are not, ma'am. I confess I did write it. What was I to do, ma'am? Consider the situation in which I was placed.
In your situation you had, as it appears to me, only one course to pursue.
You mean the course I adopted?
Undoubtedly.
I am very happy to hear you say so, though of course I should like it to be kept a secret.
Oh, of course.
Drawing his chair close to her and speaking very softly.
Will you allow me to ask you whether the constables are downstairs?
Surprised.
The constables?
Because if I am to be apprehended, I should like to have it over. I am quite ready, if it must be done.
No legal interference has been attempted. There is nothing to prevent your continuing your journey tonight.
But will not the other party follow?
Looking down.
The other party, I am compelled to inform you, is detained here by want of funds.
Starting up.
Detained here by want of funds! Hurrah! Hurrah! I have caged him at last. I'm revenged for all his blustering and bullying. This is a glorious triumph! Ha, ha, ha! I have nailed him to the spot.
Rising indignantly.
This exulting over a fallen foe, sir, is mean and pitiful. In my presence, too, it is an additional insult.
Insult? I wouldn't insult you for the world after the joyful intelligence you have brought me. I could hug you in my arms. One kiss, my little constable's deputy.
Seizing her. Struggling with him.
Help! Help!
Enter John Johnson. Centre door.
What the devil do I see?
Seizes Strange Gentleman by the collar. Mary, left-hand side.
John and Mr. Tompkins met together. They'll kill each other. Here, help, help.
Exit Mary running, centre door. Shaking him.
What do you mean by that, scoundrel?
Oh, come, none of your nonsense. There's no harm done.
No harm done. How dare you offer to salute that lady?
What did you send her here for?
I send her?
Yes, you. You gave her instructions, I suppose.
Aside.
Her husband, the constable, evidently.
That lady, sir, is attached to me.
Well, I know she is, and a very useful little person she must be to be attached to anybody. It's a pity she can't be legally sworn in.
Legally sworn in? Sir, that is an insolent reflection upon the temporary embarrassment which prevents our taking the marriage vows. How dare you insinuate—
Pooh! Pooh! Don't talk about daring to insinuate. It doesn't become a man in your station of life.
My station of life?
But as you have managed this matter very quietly, and say you're in temporary embarrassment, here's 5 shillings for you.
Offers it.
5 shillings?
Raises his cane, flourishing a chair.
Keep off, sir.
Enter Mary, Tom Sparks, and 2 waiters.
Separate them, or there'll be murder.
Tom clasps Strange Gentleman round the waist. The waiters seize John Johnson.
Come, none of that here, Mr. S. We don't let private rooms for such games as these. If you want to try it on very particular, we don't mind making a ring for you in the yard, but you mustn't do it here.
Let me get at him. Let me go. Waiters, Mary, don't hold me. I insist on your letting me go.
Hold him fast. Call yourself a peace officer, you prize fighter.
Struggling.
Let me go, I say.
Hold him fast. Hold him fast.
Tom takes Strange Gentleman off right-hand side. Waiters take John off left-hand side, Mary following. Scene 2. Another room in the inn. Enter Julia Dobbs and Overton, left-hand side.
You seem surprised, Overton.
Surprised, Miss Dobbs? Well, I may be, when after seeing nothing of you for 3 years and more, you come down here without any previous notice, for the express purpose of running away, positively running away, with a young man. I am astonished, Miss Dobbs.
You would have had better reason to be astonished if I had come down here with any notion of positively running away with an old one, Overton.
Old or young, it would matter little to me if you had not conceived the preposterous idea of entangling me, an attorney and mayor of the town, in so ridiculous a scheme. Miss Dobbs, I can't do it. I really cannot consent to mix myself up with such an affair.
Very well, Overton, very well. You recollect that in the lifetime of that poor old dear Mr. Woolley, who
would have married you if he hadn't died, and who, as it was, left you his property, free from all encumbrances, the encumbrance of himself, as a husband, not being amongst the least.
Well, you may recollect that in the poor old dear's lifetime sundry advances of money were made to you, at my persuasion, which still remain unpaid. Oblige me by forwarding them to my agent in the course of the week, and I free you from any interference in this little matter.
Crosses to left-hand side and is going.
Stay, Miss Dobbs, stay. As you say, we are old acquaintances, and there certainly were some small sums of money which
certainly are still outstanding.
Just so, and which perhaps you would be likely to forget if you had a husband, eh, Miss Dobbs, eh?
I have little doubt that I should, if I gained one through your assistance. Indeed, I can safely say I should forget all about them.
My dear Miss Dobbs, we perfectly understand each other. Pray proceed.
Well, dear Lord Peter—
That's the young man you're going to run away with, I presume.
That's the young nobleman who's going to run away with me, Mr. Overton.
Yes, just so. I beg your pardon. Pray go on.
Dear Lord Peter is young and wild, and the fact is, his friends do not consider him very sagacious or strong-minded. To prevent their interference, our marriage is to be a secret one. In fact, he is stopping now at a friend's hunting seat in the neighbourhood. He is to join me here, and we are to be married at Gretna.
Just so. A matter, as it seems to me, which you can conclude without any interference.
Wait an instant. To avoid suspicion, and prevent our being recognized and followed, I settled with him that you should give out in this house that he was a lunatic, and that I, his aunt, was going to convey him in a chaise tonight to a private asylum at Berwick. I have ordered the chaise at 1:30 in the morning. You can see him, and make our final arrangements. It will avert all suspicion, if I have no communication with him, till we start. You can say to the people of the house that the sight of me makes him furious.
Where shall I find him? Is he here?
You know best.
I
desired him immediately on his arrival to write you some mysterious nonsense, acquainting you with the number of his room.
Producing a letter.
Dear me, he has arrived, Miss Dobbs.
No.
Yes, see here. A most mysterious and extraordinary composition, which was thrown in at my office window this morning, and which I could make neither head nor tail of. Is that his handwriting?
Giving her the letter. Taking letter.
I never saw it more than once, but I know he writes very large and straggling.
Looks at letter.
This is capital, isn't it?
Excellent. So mysterious.
So very good. Rash act.
Yes.
Interesting young man.
Yes, very good.
Amiable youth.
Capital.
Solemn warning.
Yes, that's the best of all.
Number 17, he says. See him at once, that's a good creature.
Returning the letter. Taking letter.
I will.
He crosses to left-hand side and rings a bell. Enter waiter, left-hand side.
Who is there in number 17, waiter?
Number 17, sir? Oh, the strange gentleman, sir.
Show me the room.
Exit waiter, left-hand side, looking at Julia and pointing to the letter.
The strange gentleman. Very good indeed. Excellent notion.
Exeunt severally. Scene 3. Same as the first. A small table, with wine, desserts, and lights on it. Right-hand side of centre door. 2 chairs. Strange gentleman discovered seated at table.
The other party is detained here by want of funds. Ha, ha, ha! I can finish my wine at my leisure, order my gig when I please, and drive on to Brown's in perfect security. I'll drink the other party's good health, and long may he be detained here.
Fills a glass.
Ha, ha, ha! The other party, and long may he—
A knock at centre door.
Hallo! I hope this isn't the other party. Talk of the—
A knock at centre door.
Well,
setting down his glass.
This is the most extraordinary private room that was ever invented. I'm continually disturbed by unaccountable knockings.
A gentle tap at centre door.
There's another. That was a gentle rap, a persuasive tap, like a friend's forefinger on one's coat sleeve. It can't be Tinkles with the gruel. Come in.
Overton peeping in at centre door.
Are you alone, my lord?
Amazed.
Eh?
Are you alone, my lord?
My lord?
Stepping in and closing the door.
You are right, sir. We cannot be too cautious, for we do not know who may be within hearing. You are very right, sir.
Rising from table and coming forward to right-hand side.
It strikes me, sir, that you are very wrong.
Very good, very good. I like this caution. It shows me you are wide awake.
Wide awake? Damn me, I begin to think I am fast asleep, and have been for the last 2 hours.
Whispering.
I am the mayor.
In the same tone.
Oh!
This is your letter?
Shows it. Strange gentleman nods assent solemnly.
It will be necessary for you to leave here tonight at 1:30 in a post chaise and 4, and the higher you bribe the post-boys to drive at their utmost speed, the better.
You don't say so.
I do indeed. You are not safe from pursuit here.
Bless my soul! Can such dreadful things happen in a civilized community, Mr. Mayor?
It certainly does, at first sight, appear rather a hard case that people cannot marry whom they please, without being hunted down in this way.
To be sure, to be hunted down and killed as if one was game, you know.
Certainly, and you aren't game, you know.
Of course not. But can't you prevent it? Can't you save me by the interposition of your power?
My power can do nothing in such a case.
Can't it, though?
Nothing whatever.
I never heard of such dreadful revenge. Never. Mr. Mayor, I am a victim. I am the unhappy victim of parental obstinacy.
Oh, no, don't say that. You may escape yet.
Grasping his hand.
Do you think I may? Do you think I may, Mr. Mayor?
Certainly, certainly. I have little doubt of it, if you manage properly.
I thought I was managing properly. I understood the other party was detained here by want of funds.
Want of funds? There's no want of funds in that quarter, I can tell you.
Aren't there, though?
Bless you, no. 3,000 a year. But who told you there was a want of funds?
Why, she did.
She? You have seen her, then. She told me you had not.
Nonsense. Don't believe her. She was in this very room half an hour ago.
Then I must have misunderstood her, and you must have misunderstood her too. But to return to business. Don't you think it would keep up appearances if I had you put under some restraint?
I think it would. I am very much obliged to you.
Aside.
This regard for my character in an utter stranger, and in a mayor, too, is quite affecting.
I'll send somebody up to mount guard over you.
Thank ye, my dear friend, thank ye.
And if you make a little resistance, when we take you upstairs to your bedroom, or away in the chaise, it will be keeping up the character, you know.
To be sure, so it will. I'll do it.
Very well, then. I shall see your lordship again by and by. For the present, my lord, good evening.
Going.
Lord? Lordship? Mr. Mayor?
Eh? Oh, I see.
Comes forward.
Practising the lunatic, my lord. Ah, very good, very vacant look indeed. Admirable, my lord, admirable. I say, my lord.
Pointing to letter.
Amiable youth. Interesting young man. Strange gentleman, eh? Knowing trick indeed, my lord, very.
Exit Overton centre door.
That mayor is either in the very last stage of mystified intoxication, or in the most hopeless state of incurable insanity. I have no doubt of it. A little touched here.
Tapping his forehead.
Never mind. He is sufficiently sane to understand my business at all events.
Goes to table and takes a glass.
Poor fellow. I'll drink his health and speedy recovery.
A knock at centre door.
It is a most extraordinary thing now, that every time I propose a toast to myself, some confounded fellow raps at that door as if he were receiving it with the utmost enthusiasm. Private room! I might as well be sitting behind the little shutter of a twopenny post-office, where all the letters put in were to be post-paid.
A knock at centre door.
Perhaps it's the guard. I shall feel a great deal safer if it is. Come in.
He has brought a chair forward, and sits left-hand side. Enter Tom Sparks, centre door, very slowly, with an enormous stick. He closes the door, and, after looking at the strange gentleman very steadily, brings a chair down left-hand side, and sits opposite him.
Are you sent by the mayor of this place to mount guard over me?
Yes, it's all right.
Aside.
It's all right. I'm safe.
To Tom, with affected indignation.
Now mind, I have been insulted by receiving this challenge, and I want to fight the man who gave it me. I protest against being kept here. I denounce this treatment as an outrage.
Aye, anything you please, poor creature. Don't put yourself in a passion. It'll only make you worse.
This is most extraordinary behaviour. I don't understand it. What do you mean by behaving in this manner?
Rising. Aside.
He's getting violent. I must frighten him with a steady look. I say, young fellow, do you see this here eye?
Staring at him and pointing at his own eye. Aside.
Do I see his eye? What can he mean by glaring upon me with that large, round optic? Ah, a terrible light flashes upon me. He thought I was Swing this morning. It was an insane delusion. That eye is an insane eye. He's a madman.
Madman? Dammy, I think he is a madman with a vengeance.
He acknowledges it. He is sensible of his misfortune. Go away. Leave the room instantly and tell them to send somebody else. Go away!
Oh, you unhappy lunatic.
What a dreadful situation! I shall be attacked, strangled, smothered, and mangled by a madman! Where's the bell?
Advancing and brandishing his stick.
Leave that 'ere bell alone. Leave that 'ere bell alone, and come here.
Certainly, Mr. Boots, certainly. He's going to strangle me.
Going towards table.
Let me pour you out a glass of wine, Mr. Boots. Pray do.
Aside.
If he said yes, I'd throw the decanter at his temple.
None of your nonsense. Sit down there.
Forces him into a chair left-hand side.
I'll sit here.
Opposite him, right-hand side.
Look me full in the face and I won't hurt you. Move hand, foot, or eye, and you'll never want to move either of 'em again.
I'm paralyzed with terror.
Ha!
Raising his stick in a threatening attitude.
I'm dumb, Mr. Boots. Dumb, sir.
They sit gazing intently on each other. Tom, with the stick raised, as the act drop slowly descends. End of Act 1. Act 2 of The Strange Gentleman by Charles Dickens. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2, Scene 1. The same as Scene 3, Act 1. Tom Sparks discovered in the same attitude watching the strange gentleman, who has fallen asleep with his head over the back of his chair.
He's asleep. Poor unhappy wretch. How very mad he looks with his mouth wide open and his eyes shut. Ah, there's a vacant snore, no meaning in it at all. I could have told he was out of his senses from the very tone of it. Oh, there's a very insane snore. I should say he was melancholy mad from the sound of it.
Enter, through centre door, Overton, Mrs. Noakes, a chambermaid, and 2 waiters. Mrs. Noakes with a warming pan, the maid with a light. Strange gentleman starts up, greatly exhausted. Starting up in centre.
Hallo! Hallo! Keep quiet, young fellow! Keep quiet!
Left-hand side.
Out of the way, you savage maniac! Mr. Mayor.
Cross to him, right-hand side.
The person you sent to keep guard over me is a madman, sir. What do you mean by shutting me up with a madman? What do you mean, sir? I ask.
Right hand centre, aside to Strange Gentleman.
Bravo, bravo, very good indeed. Excellent.
Excellent, sir. It's horrible. The bare recollection of what I have endured makes me shudder down to my very toenails.
Right hand side.
Poor dear. Mad people always think other people mad.
Poor dear. Ma'am, what the devil do you mean by poor dear? How dare you have a madman here, ma'am, to assault and terrify the visitors to your establishment?
Ah, terrify indeed. I'll never have another, to please anybody. You may depend upon that, Mr. Overton.
To Strange Gentleman.
There, there. Don't exert yourself, there's a dear.
Centre.
Exert myself! Damn me! It's a mercy I have any life left to exert myself with. It's a special miracle, ma'am, that my existence has not long ago fallen a sacrifice to that sanguinary monster in the leather smalls.
Right hand centre, aside to Strange Gentleman.
I never saw any passion more real in my life. Keep it up. It's an admirable joke.
Joke! Joke! Peril a precious life, and call it a joke! You, a man with a sleek head and a broad-brimmed hat, who ought to know better, calling it a joke! Are you mad too, sir? Are you mad?
Confronting Overton. Left hand side.
Keep your hands off. Would you murder the very bear himself, you miserable being?
Mr. Mayor, I call upon you to issue your warrant for the instant confinement of that one-eyed Orson in some place of security.
Aside, advancing a little.
He reminds me that he had better be removed to his bedroom. He is right. Waiters, carry the gentleman upstairs. Boots, you will continue to watch him in his bedroom.
Continue. What, am I to be boxed up again with this infuriated animal and killed off when he has done playing with me? I won't go! I won't go! Help! There! Help!
The waiters cross from right hand side to behind him. Enter John Johnson hastily, centre door. Coming forward left hand side.
What on earth is the meaning of this dreadful outcry which disturbs the whole house?
Don't be alarmed, sir, I beg. They're only going to carry an unfortunate gentleman as is out of his senses to his bedroom.
Centre to John.
Constable, constable, do your duty. Apprehend these persons, every one of them. Do you hear, officer? Do you hear?
The waiters seize him by the arms.
Here, you see this? You've seen the assault committed. Take them into custody. Off with them.
Poor creature. He thinks you are a constable, sir.
Unfortunate man. It is the second time today that he has been the victim of this strange delusion.
Breaking from waiters and going to John, left hand side.
Unfortunate man? What, do you think I am mad?
Poor fellow. His hopeless condition is pitiable indeed.
Goes up. Returning to centre.
They're all mad, every one of 'em.
Come now, come to bed. There's a dear young man, do.
Who are you, you shameless old ghost, standing there before company with a large warming pan and asking me to come to bed? Are you mad?
Oh, he's getting shocking now. Take him away. Take him away.
Ah, you had better remove him to his bedroom at once.
The waiters taking him up by the feet and shoulders.
Mind, if I survive this, I'll bring an action of false imprisonment against every one of you. Mark my words, especially against that villainous old mayor. Mind, I'll do it.
They bear him off, struggling and talking, the others crowding round and assisting. Following.
How well he does it.
Exeunt left hand first exit. Enter a waiter, showing in Charles Tompkins in a travelling coat, centre door. Waiter, left-hand side.
This room is disengaged now, sir. There was a gentleman in it, but he has just left it.
Very well, this will do. I may want a bed here to-night, perhaps, waiter?
Yes, sir. Shall I take your card to the bar, sir?
My card? No, never mind.
No name, sir?
No, it doesn't matter.
Aside, as going out.
Another strange gentleman.
Exit waiter, centre door. Takes off coat.
The sun and dust on this long ride have been almost suffocating. I wonder whether Fanny has arrived. If she has, the sooner we start forward on our journey further north, the better. Let me see. She will be accompanied by her sister, she said in her note, and they will both be on the look-out for me. Then the best thing I can do is to ask no questions, for the present at all events, and to be on the look-out for them.
Looking towards centre door.
Why, here she comes, walking slowly down the long passage, straight towards this room. She can't have seen me yet. Poor girl! How melancholy she looks! I'll keep in the background for an instant, and give her a joyful surprise.
He goes up, right-hand side. Enter Fanny, centre door. Left-hand side.
Was ever unhappy girl placed in so dreadful a situation? Friendless, and almost alone, in a strange place. My dear, dear Charles a victim to an attack of mental derangement, and I am unable to avow my interest in him, or express my anxious sympathy and solicitude for his sufferings. I cannot bear this dreadful torture of agonizing suspense. I must and will see him, let the cost be what it may.
She is going left-hand side. Coming forward right-hand side.
Psst! Fanny!
Startling and repressing a scream.
Charles! Here, in this room?
Bodily present, my dear, in this very room. My darling Fanny, let me strain you to my bosom.
Advancing. Shrinking back.
No, dearest Charles, no, not now.
Aside.
How flushed he is.
No. Fanny, this cold reception is a very different one to what I look forward to meeting with from you.
Advancing and offering the tip of her finger.
No, not cold, Charles, not cold. I do not mean it to be so indeed. How is your head now, dear?
How is my head? After days and weeks of suspense and anxiety, when half our dangerous journey is gained, and I meet you here, to bear you whither you can be made mine for life, you greet me with the tip of your longest finger, and inquire after my head? Fanny, what can you mean?
You have startled me rather, Charles. I thought you had gone to bed.
Gone to bed? Why, I've but this moment arrived.
Aside.
Poor Charles.
Miss Wilson, what am I to—
No, pray, do not suffer yourself to be excited.
Suffer myself to be excited? Can I possibly avoid it? Can I do aught but wonder at this extraordinary and sudden change in your whole demeanour? Excited? But 5 minutes since I arrived here brimful of the hope and expectation which had buoyed up my spirits during my long journey. I find you cold, reserved, and embarrassed. Everything but what I expected to find you. And then you tell me not to be excited.
Aside.
He is wandering again. The fever is evidently upon him.
This altered manner and ill-disguised confusion all convince me of what you would fain conceal. Miss Wilson, you repent of your former determination, and love another.
Poor fellow!
Poor fellow! What, am I pitied?
Oh, Charles, do not give way to this. Consider how much depends upon your being composed.
I see how much depends upon my being composed, ma'am. Well, very well. A husband depends upon it, ma'am. Your new lover is in this house, and if he overhears my reproaches, he will become suspicious of the woman who has jilted another, and may jilt him. That's it, madam. A great deal depends, as you say, upon my being composed. A great deal, ma'am.
Alas! These are indeed the ravings of frenzy.
Upon my word, ma'am, you must form a very modest estimate of your own power, if you imagine that disappointment has impaired my senses. Ha, 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 ha! I am delighted. I am delighted to have escaped you, ma'am. I am glad, ma'am, damned glad.
Kicks a chair over. Aside.
I must call for assistance. He grows more incoherent and furious every instant.
I leave you, ma'am. I am unwilling to interrupt the tender tete-a-tete with the other gentleman, to which you are, no doubt, anxiously looking forward. To you I have no more to say. To him I must beg to offer a few rather unexpected congratulations on his approaching marriage.
Exit Charles hastily. Centre door.
Alas! It is but too true. His senses have entirely left him.
Exit left-hand side. Scene second and last. A gallery in the inn, leading to the bedrooms. 4 doors in the flat, and one at each of the upper entrances, numbered from 20 to 25, beginning at the right-hand side. A pair of boots at the door of 23. Enter chambermaid with 2 lights, and Charles Tomkins. Right-hand side, first exit.
This is your room, sir. Number 21.
Opening the door.
Very well. Call me at 7 in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Gives him a light, and exit chambermaid. Right-hand first exit.
And at 9, if I can previously obtain a few words of explanation from this unknown rival, I will just return to the place from whence I came, in the same coach that brought me down here. I wonder who he is, and where he sleeps.
Looking round.
I have a lurking suspicion of those boots.
Pointing to number 23.
They are an ill-looking, underhanded sort of pair, and an undefinable instinct tells me that they have clothed the feet of the rascal I am in search of. Besides myself, the owner of those ugly articles is the only person who has yet come up to bed. I will keep my eyes open for half an hour or so, and my ears too.
Exit Charles into number 21. Enter right-hand side first exit, Mrs. Noakes with 2 lights, followed by Mary and Fanny.
Take care of the last step, ladies. This way, ma'am, if you please. Number 20 is your room, ladies. Nice, large, double-bedded room, with coals and a rushlight.
Aside to Mary.
I must ask which is his room. I cannot rest unless I know he has at length sunk into the slumber he so much needs.
Crosses to Mrs. Noakes, who is left-hand side.
Which is the room in which the strange gentleman sleeps?
Number 23, ma'am. There's his boots outside the door. Don't be frightened of him, ladies. He's very quiet now, and our boots is a-watching him.
Oh, no, we are not afraid of him.
Aside.
Poor Charles.
Going to door number 20, which is 3rd exit on right-hand side.
This way, if you please. You'll find everything very comfortable, and there's a bell rope at the head of the bed if you want anything in the morning. Good night, ladies.
As Mary and Fanny pass Mrs. Noakes, Fanny takes a light. Exit Fanny and Mary into number 20. Tapping at number 23.
Tom! Tom!
Enter Tom from number 23. Coming forward, left-hand side.
Is that you, Mrs.?
Right-hand side.
Yes. How's the strange gentleman, Tom?
He was very boisterous half an hour ago, but I punched his head a little, and now he's uncommon comfortable. He's fallen asleep, but his snores is still very incoherent.
Mind you take care of him, Tom. They'll take him away in half an hour's time. It's very nearly 1 o'clock now.
I'll pay every possible attention to him. If he offers to call out, I shall whop him again.
Exit Tom into number 23. Looking off right-hand side.
This way, ma'am, if you please. Up these stairs.
Enter Julia Dobbs with a light. Right-hand side first exit.
Which did you say was the room in which I should arrange my dress for travelling?
Number 22, ma'am. The next room to your nephew's. Poor dear. He's fallen asleep, ma'am, and I dare say you'll be able to take him away very quietly by and by.
Aside.
Not so quietly as you imagine, if he plays his part half as well as Overton reports he does.
To Mrs. Noakes.
Thank you. For the present, good night.
Exit Julia into number 22.
Wish you good night, ma'am. There. Now, I think I may go downstairs again and see if Mr. Overton wants any more negus. Why, who's this?
Looking off right-hand side.
Oh, I forgot. Number 24 ain't to bed yet. It's him.
Enter John Johnson with a light. Right-hand side first exit.
Number 24, sir, if you please.
Yes, I know. The same room I slept in last night.
Crossing left-hand side.
Yes, sir. Wish you good night, sir.
Exit Mrs. Noakes. Right-hand first exit.
Good night, ma'am. The same room I slept in last night indeed, and the same room I may sleep in tomorrow night, and the next night, and the night after that, and just as many more nights as I can get credit here, unless this remittance arrives. I could raise the money to prosecute my journey without difficulty, were I on the spot, but my confounded thoughtless liberality to the post-boys has left me absolutely penniless. Well, we shall see what tomorrow brings forth.
He goes into number 24, but immediately returns and places his boots outside his room door, leaving it ajar. Exit John into number 24. Charles peeping from number 21 and putting out his boots.
There's another pair of boots. Now I wonder which of these two fellows is the man. I can't help thinking it's number 23. Hullo!
He goes in and closes his door. The door of number 20 opens. Fanny comes out with a light in a nightshade. Number 23 open. She retires into number 20. Enter Tom Sparks with a stable lantern from number 23, closing the door gently.
Fast asleep still. I may as well go my rounds and glean for the deputy.
Pulls out a piece of chalk from his pocket and takes up boots from number 23.
23. It's difficult to tell what a feller is when he ain't got his senses, but I think this 23's a timorous, faint-hearted genus.
Examines the boots.
You want new soling, number 23?
Goes to number 24, takes up boots and looks at them.
Hallo, there's a bust, and there's been a piece put on in the corner. I must let my missus know. The bill's always doubtful when there's any mending.
Goes to number 21, takes up boots.
French calf Valentins, all's right here. These French calves always comes it strong, light vines and all that here.
Looking around.
Very happy to see there ain't no high-lows. They never drinks nothing but gin and water. Them and the cloth boots is the worst customers in as. The cloth boots is always abstemious, only drinks sherry wine and water, and never eats no suppers.
He chalks the number of the room on each pair of boots as he takes them up.
Lucky for you, my French calves, that you ain't done with the paint and polish, or you'd have been vitrioled in no time. I don't like to put oil of vitriol on a well-made pair of boots, but when they've rubbed with that 'ere polish, it must be done or the profession's ruined.
Exit Tom with boots. Right hand first exit. Enter Fanny from number 20, with light as before.
I tremble at the idea of going into his room, but surely at a moment like this, when he is left to be attended by rude and uninterested strangers, the strict rules of propriety which regulate our ordinary proceedings may be dispensed with. I will but satisfy myself that he sleeps, and has those comforts which his melancholy situation demands, and return immediately.
Goes to number 23 and knocks. Charles Tomkins peeping at number 21.
I'll swear I heard a knock. A woman! Fanny Wilson? And at that door at this hour of the night?
Fanny comes forward.
Why, what an ass I must have been ever to have loved that girl! It is number 23, though. I'll throttle him presently. The next room door open, I'll watch there.
He crosses to number 24 and goes in. Fanny returns to number 23 and knocks. The door opens and the strange gentleman appears, nightcap on his head and a light in his hand. Fanny screams and runs back into number 20. Coming forward.
Well, of all the wonderful and extraordinary houses that ever did exist, this particular tenement is the most extraordinary. I've got rid of the madman at last, and it's almost time for that vile old mayor to remove me. But where? I'm lost, bewildered, confused, and actually begin to think I am mad. Half these things I've seen today must be visions of fancy. They never could have really happened. No, I'm clearly mad. I've not the least doubt of it now. I've caught it from that horrid Boots. He has inoculated the whole establishment. We're all mad together.
Looking off right-hand side.
Lights coming upstairs. Some more lunatics.
Exit Strange Gentleman in number 23. Enter right-hand side first exit. Overton with a cloak. Mrs. Noakes, Tom Sparks with lantern, and 3 waiters with lights. The waiters range up right-hand side. Tom is in right-hand corner, and Mrs. Noakes next to him.
Remain there till I call for your assistance.
Goes up to number 23 and knocks. Enter Strange Gentleman from number 23.
Now the chaise is ready. Muffle yourself up in this cloak.
Puts it on the Strange Gentleman. They come forward, left-hand side.
Yes.
Centre.
Make a little noise when we take you away, you know.
Yes. I say, what a queer room this is of mine. Somebody has been tapping at the wall for the last half-hour, like a whole forest of woodpeckers.
Don't you know who that was?
No.
The other party.
Alarmed.
The other party?
To be sure, the other party is going with you.
Going with me? In the same chaise?
Of course. Hush.
Goes to number 22. Knocks. Enter Julia Dobbs from number 22, wrapped up in a large cloak.
Look here.
Bringing her forward. Julia is next to Mrs. Noakes, starting into left-hand corner.
I won't go! This is a plot! A conspiracy! I won't go, I tell you! I shall be assassinated! I shall be murdered!
Fanny and Mary appear at number 20, Johnson and Tomkins at 24. At the door.
I told you he was mad.
At the door.
I see. Poor fellow.
Crossing to Strange Gentleman and taking his arm.
Come, dear, come.
Yes, do go. There's a good soul. Go with your affectionate aunt.
Breaking from her.
My affectionate aunt?
Julia returns to her former position.
He don't deserve no affection. I never see such an unfectionate fellow to his relations.
take that wretch away and smother him between two feather beds. Take him away and make a sandwich of him directly.
To Overton, who is in centre.
What voice was that? It was not Lord Peter's.
Throwing off her cloak.
Nonsense, nonsense. Look at him.
Pulls cloak off, strange gentleman. Turning round.
A woman!
A stranger.
A stranger? What? Aren't he your husband, that is, to... your mad nephew, I mean?
No.
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 No?
No.
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 No. No, I'll be damned if I am. I ain't anybody's nephew. My aunt's dead, and I never had an uncle.
And ain't he mad, Mum?
No.
Oh, I'm not mad. I was mistaken just now.
And isn't he going away with you?
No.
Coming forward right-hand side, next to Mrs. Noakes.
And isn't his name Tompkins?
No!
Johnson and Tompkins advance to the ladies, and they all retire up.
What is his name?
Producing a letter.
It ain't Mr. Walker Trot, is it?
She advances a little towards him.
Something so remarkably like it, ma'am, that with your permission I'll open that epistle.
Taking letter. All go up, but Julia and Strange Gentleman. Opening letter.
Tinkle's hand.
Reads.
The challenge was a ruse. By this time I shall have been united at Gretna Green to the charming Emily Brown. Then, through a horror of duels, I have lost a wife.
Right-hand side with a handkerchief to her eyes.
And through Lord Peter's negligence, I have lost a husband.
Eh?
Regards her a moment, then beckons Overton, who comes forward left-hand side.
I say, didn't you say something about 3,000 a year this morning?
I did.
You alluded to that party?
Nodding towards Julia.
I did.
Ahem.
Put Overton back.
Permit me, ma'am.
Going to her.
To sympathize most respectfully with your deep distress.
Oh, sir, your kindness penetrates to my very heart.
Aside.
Penetrates to her heart. It's taking the right direction. If I understand your sorrowing murmur, ma'am, you contemplated taking a destined husband away with you in the chaise at the door.
Oh, sir, spare my feelings, I did. The horses were ordered and paid for, and everything was ready. Oh!
Weeps. Aside.
She weeps. Expensive thing, posting, ma'am.
Very, sir.
18 pence a mile, ma'am, not including the boys.
Yes, sir.
You've lost a husband, ma'am. I have lost a wife. Marriages are made above. I'm quite certain ours is booked. Pity to have all this expense for nothing. Let's go together.
Drying her eyes.
The suddenness of this proposal, sir.
Requires a sudden answer, ma'am. You don't say no? You mean yes. Permit me to...
Kisses her.
All right. Old one.
To Overton, who comes down left-hand side.
I've done it. Mrs. Noakes.
She comes down right-hand side.
Don't countermand the chaise. We're off directly.
Who with Fanny comes down left-hand centre.
So are we.
Who with Mary comes down right-hand centre.
So are we, thanks to a negotiated loan and an explanation as hasty as the quarrel that gave rise to it.
3 post-chaises and 4. On to Gretna directly.
Exit waiters. Right hand first exit.
I say, we'll stop here as we come back.
Certainly.
Certainly.
But before I go, as I fear I have given a great deal of trouble here tonight, permit me to inquire whether you will view my mistakes and perils with an indulgent eye, and consent to receive the strange gentleman again tomorrow.
Curtain.